Hey, welcome to Select Arcane! For the record, this was supposed to be a Halloween video because it's Halloween themed, but due to circumstances, I had to move it up in the schedule and make it as fast as possible. Nearly every year, one of my favorite hobby people, Jennifer Buxton, makes model horse Halloween costumes. 2023 was no different and some beautiful costumes were created. Simply out of curiosity, I went to my local PetSmart and took a tour of the small animal Halloween costumes. We're talking about stuff for guinea pigs and such. Much to my delight, I found virtually every costume that Jennifer was highlighting in her blog. And obviously I had to buy them. Really thinking nothing of it, I just simply tagged Jennifer in a post saying that I got these costumes. Well, this certainly sparked a war, the chocolate war. A blog post appeared challenging me to create the Hershey's chocolate bar costume. And being as competitive as I am, I just couldn't help but follow through with this. Never mind that I have my master's to worry about, never mind that I have an economics exam coming up in a few days, it must be done. Inspired that Jennifer used a Victrix resin as her base model, I grabbed my Victrix as well, Incidental Kiss. It's no secret that I can't really sew, so this is not a tutorial, but rather just for your plain entertainment. I slid the costume onto Kiss just to see how far I need to cut and what I need to do. I am 100% using girl math to do this because I don't have a pattern. And we all know I don't know how to make one. What I do have, however, is an army of horse blankets in my barn, as well as the power and magic of Google. So to illustrate, this is one of my rain sheets. You can see the two long belly straps on the right-hand side, the turquoise butt flap on the bottom, the two short belly straps on the left-hand side, and the two chest straps on the front right. Rusalka's in the background like, what are you doing with my jacket? Also for reference, here's a Briar Rambo blanket. I think this was made in the 2010s, if I remember correctly. Very similar to Rusalka's jacket, but instead is more simplified. Something that really bothered me about the costume was the little foil hood. I know it was meant for a hood of a guinea pig to be like the foil wrapping on a chocolate, but it just didn't fit to me. Jennifer went for more of a cooler style and decided to keep the hood. I'm deciding to go with more of a stable blanket style and I'm omitting the hood. So to start off, I seam ripped around the hood to remove it. I'm actually using a doll hair rerouting tool, which is just a drill chuck with a needle in it, which has the eye cut at a 45-degree angle. I wouldn't say it's fabulous, but it certainly gets the job done. I also did the same to the belly straps, which just simply don't fit. I cut the chest straps off because, again, they don't fit, and I'm going to make a more traditional stable blanket style chest strap. Looking back at the footage now, if I had more skills in sewing, I would have definitely left it as is. The sizing was looking great, and I was starting to get the hang of it. I started with the belly straps first. The delay in making this video was partially because of my insane course load with school, but also because I was waiting for a package from Rio Rondo. I ordered a ton of stuff specifically for this project, including belly straps. I actually didn't have anything for this project other than a needle and thread and the costume itself, because I've never made a horse blanket before, if you can believe it. Making tack kind of terrifies me after my last attempts, so it's not my forte. I started by using Tacky Glue. I'm using 1/4 inch Grosgrain ribbon as the blanket straps. I loop that through one side of the hardware and glue it back to itself. Then I glue it directly onto the blanket. I don't trust glue enough to hold the strap in place for long term, so I am going to be sewing it down again. The strap is glued on an angle because it's a stable blanket. You crisscross belly straps. I do this twice so that I have two receiving buckles on one side. When the glue is dry in about 20 minutes, I think I do a whip stitch around the perimeter of each strap. I say I think because I think that's what it's called. Not sure though. All the hardware comes attached to these little stamped plates. I simply pluck off each part with a pair of small pliers and run them along some rough sandpaper to smooth out the rough bits. Next, I work on the other side of the belly strap. These are the tongue buckles that slide into those slots. I do the exact same thing by using my ribbon, looping it through the hardware, and gluing it down with some tacky glue. I put these to the side for now, let them dry, and move on to other things. I move on to the chest straps next because I want the blanket to fit properly before I add that extra set of belly straps. You know, measure twice, glue once kind of thing. At this point I glued the chest closed and then just cut it open again so I get a nice fit. The intention is not to really make this blanket adjustable at the end because I really don't have the hardware or skills for that. After the glue is dry, I whip stitch the straps on the chest. This is what we have so far, and I'm thinking it's starting to come along. I kind of regret doing this next part because it messes up the shape of the blanket, but here we go anyways. I pinned down some darts on the butt of the blanket. This is to tailor the fit a little bit and to make sure that the blanket lays correctly on the horse. I whip stitched the dart on the inside of the blanket and hope for the best. Returning back to those abandoned belly straps, I add adjustable slider on the strap. This doesn't actually make them adjustable, it just gives that illusion. I went a little bit all over the place with making this blanket, so I'm just going to hop over to this next part, which was a huge waste of time, and I simply don't have enough skills for it. I attempted to make the butt flap out of the same silver hood that I removed earlier. In theory, I was doing it, I suppose, slightly correctly, but it just didn't fit Kiss at all. It looked horrible, so I seam ripped the whole thing, and that was an entire hour wasted out of this whole craft. But I did find a use for that same silver material. I used it as a wither guard. And I botched that a little bit too. I made it a bit too short, so I had to add an addition to it. But essentially, I folded a little square and wrapped it around and whip stitched it along the wither part so that it would protect the mane. So here's the work in progress, and the butt flap is, as you can see, good in theory, bad in practice. I'm definitely going to have to work on my sewing skills because maybe I can make an outdoor winter jacket or a raincoat in the future, and I'll definitely need to use that. Nonetheless, I seam ripped the entire butt flap out and re-stitched the blanket in the back so that it was like it would never happened. And though it does come out relatively okay and relatively even, it doesn't really fit Incidental Kiss anymore. I think I might have made the darts a little bit too long, and now the blanket's a bit short on her. So I'm sorry, Kiss, you're fired. I'm bringing in my other resin, Astor. This guy is a rarity sculpted by Brigida Eberl, and I love him. He's going to stand in for the rest of the video as the official model. And I don't think I've ever showed him on the channel before. I didn't want to do those belly straps and commit until I was really happy with the fit of the jacket on the model, and now that Astor has taken Kiss's place, I can now get started with that. I clip the belly strap to the other side and measure how far I need to go for this side. If you're not a horse person, stable blankets must be crisscrossed under the belly for safety purposes, so I need to make sure that this strap can go diagonally across the belly. Using tacky glue, I attach where I want and then make a little template for myself. When I remove the blanket, I know exactly where to stick that blanket, and when the glue is dry, I sew it with a whip stitch. I do that again for the second strap. I use Fray Check for all of the edges of the ribbon on all of the straps. I don't want anything to unravel. You must have been wondering about those weird chest straps, right? Well, let's finish those off. I'm using a 1/4 inch satin ribbon. They didn't have Grosgrain in this size, so I'm forced to use this. I'm going to be using it for both the chest straps and the leg straps. When you buy belly straps from Rio Rondo, you automatically get some chest straps, which is really nice and a sweet deal. This is not the buckle kind, this is the adjustable kind, and it's perfect for my purposes. This is kind of what I'm going for. Those big ribbons that I put down are more so the base. I glue the satin ribbon to tuck slightly underneath, and then I whip stitch it down. I do it for both the chest straps. I slide on the adjustable buckles and then loop some ribbon to create a keeper. I just glue it in a little circle and then whip stitch it onto the other side of the chest. This is where we are so far. As you can see, it sort of fits, but it doesn't keep where it's supposed to. So now we're going to add the clips. Taking that out of the metal frame, I sand them down and then glue them like I have all the other hardware by looping it through the hole and gluing it back down to itself. Then I whip stitch a D-ring so that the clip can actually grab onto the D-ring. Why go to all the extra effort and make it a clip instead of just a regular buckle, you might be wondering? Well, firstly, I find the Rio Rondo buckles a little bit difficult to use and I am a bit traumatized by them, but secondly, I prefer these in real life and it's so much more convenient to clip these up on a young stallion who wants to bite your hand off. Okay, home stretch, let's get those leg straps on. I really detest blankets that don't have leg straps because they just slide off the horse, especially if they roll in the stall. I attach 2 D-rings to the back of the blanket, pretty much underneath the darts. Make 2 1/8 ribbon lengths with some hooks on the end, hook them to the D-ring, and then measure crisscross between the horse's legs. Again, the crisscross is for safety purposes. I measure how much I need, glue, and then whip stitch down. I trim up any excess thread that might be hanging off the blanket, fray check a few more edges, and the blanket is done. Well, it's not Russian tack maker quality, but I'd say it's a pretty good first try. A huge thank you to Jennifer Buxton, who forced me to get some art time in. School has taken up so much of my time recently that I haven't had time for any fun, so this is such a welcome distraction. And I actually feel rejuvenated to start studying from economics now. So, who do you think won the chocolate war? A huge shout out to Eric at Sentimental Taco Photography, who did all of these beautiful photos. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram at SelectArcane or on Facebook by the same name. Thanks for watching. Bye!